Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, with the VRG Virtual Racing League here for Race 2, the Jefferson Grand Prix at Summit Point Motorsports Park in Summit Point, West Virginia. Beautiful day out on track. Right now we're watching Vice President Jim Karamanis chasing Ralph Pagington. Nose to tail here. Whoop, looks like we got a little agricultural just as I started talking. Let's jump back here to Ralph Pagington. Practice this evening running from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. followed by a 30-minute qualifying session from 9 to 9:30, and then our second race of the series takes place from 9:30 to 10 p.m. tonight. We're going to try a couple of different things new this race. We're going to try to jump into the car and talk to a couple of our drivers while they're out on course, see how they're doing and enjoying it, finding their way in this virtual racing world. And hopefully also have some post-race interviews. So we'll spend some time jumping around here in practice, just watching everybody get their tires scrubbed in, get a feel for the course. Last week's flag-to-flag winner, Darren Treacle, hopefully will be joining us in our chat room later this evening. We'll see if he can take another victory, or if young Ian Ditson here can perhaps give him a run for his money. My name is Ian Wisbon with the VRG and the Virtual Racing League. I'll be your commentator tonight. Bear with me. I'm 2 weeks in and still learning what I'm doing, but so far, so good. And enjoy the evening. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Share with your friends. Make some popcorn, perhaps have a beverage. And thanks for joining us here at the VRG Virtual Racing League.
Mike, this is like the 8th time I've seen you come out of the pits. planning to get drunk before the race starts?
Back at it this evening here at the Virtual Racing League Jefferson Grand Prix at Summit Point Motorsports Park. We're following Stefan Vappa around, coming out of turn 10 down the long front straight here at Summit Point. Looks like he's setting some pretty decent times here. Chasing young Ian Ditson and Vice President Jim Karamanis just behind him. We'll follow Stefan around here for a little bit. Jump into the car with him and see how this looks. Nice and clean here down through the chute. Nice turn in here to the carousel. See if he can pull him coming down the front straight here. Get a little momentum. In the car now with Ian Ditson. Nice turn into one there. I think this evening we're going to be joined by a few extra folks watching along. My father Jim has joined us, and I should also note my furry four-legged color commentary, Genevieve and Arthur. Apologies in advance, they really enjoy their racing and get excited sometimes. following Ian Ditson around this evening. I have been joined here in the broadcast booth by my father, Jim. We are frantically tasking the IT engineers with how to get a second audio output here so he can also monitor and contribute. May not be the case, but he's here both in body and spirit for the moral support. We'll jump to the back of the field here, jump in with Ralph Solomon, see how he's doing this evening. We'll get in the car with him and see how his handiwork is. Track that Ralph is familiar with for sure. Again, out here campaigning the Ferrari. Let's see if he's got anybody else with him out in a Ferrari this evening. Oh, well, we got one other Ferrari. I think we have a few other people who have joined us to race this evening. We'll run through the field here in a little bit. Nice into one there, Ralph. Let's jump in with John Wood. Coming down the front straight here with John. Pedaling it pretty nicely. About 30 minutes through this practice session. John Wood tidy here through the carousel. Let's see if he can stick this together. Hard on it. A little bit of a lift here, then hard on it again. Straight under the bridge. Little touch. Turn in, power on. Nice out over the curbs. Let's see how that lap time was. Very nice, John. Very clean. Oh, Christian, sorry. You were already on your way there before I jumped into your cockpit. Sorry about that. I think we're going to take a look here and see if we can perhaps jump in car with one of the drivers, so bear with the sound team here as we figure out how to pull somebody in to the chat room. Hey Jim, this is Ian in the booth. You copy?
Hey Ian, I hear you.
How you doing tonight, Jim?
So far doing pretty good. We've got a lot of new participants tonight. It's going to be pretty interesting. Got a lot of rookies who've never turned a lap before jumping in the fray.
It looks like there's been some significant improvement since our last race here, Jim. How's the track treating you this evening? You running well?
Track's nice and sticky. I just ran my personal best lap time. So far, going great.
I'll tell you what, Jim, I'm working the cameras here. It seems like every time I click on somebody, something goes wrong. But we're having fun sitting up here in the booth watching your race. My father, Jim, has joined me this evening. I think for the audience out there, it'd be good for us to hear how do you find the virtual racing world as opposed to the vintage real world racing?
Well, this is a lot of fun, and it's a way to keep the juices flowing when we can't be on the real track. I enjoy doing this, but I really miss the feeling that you get on the real track. The fear factor's not here, and it takes away from the experience a little bit. But the great news is I get to hang out with all my friends a couple times a week doing this, so not bad.
Yeah, I think that's how we all feel, Jim. I know Dad and I are sitting here wishing we were out on course, but we're also building up our own rigs here so we can jump out on track with you and have some virtual racing fun here. So we'll let you get back to it. I see you are currently hanging out in the pits there talking to us. Maybe I'll test your ability to concentrate and get back at you when you're in the car sometime.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, Jim. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you soon. That was Jim Karamanis, Vice President and organizer here of the Virtual Racing League. He's in the pits right now, most likely touching base with his team principal, seeing how he can shave a few seconds off of his personal best lap. Oh, hey, let's jump into this one here. Of interest to my father, who may not know that he's here yet. Josh, because I clicked on you and you had a bit of an off there, but we're currently following along with Josh Van Kirk, who has the prestige of playing trombone in one of Pittsburgh's best-known local ska bands, Irritating Stick. He's joining us all the way from the West Coast. I believe he's out in either Oregon or Washington State. Served some time there in the Navy on a submarine, and has decided to come out and give us a race here at Summit Point. And I understand later this evening we'll be racing with his own Virtual Racing League out on the left coast. So, Josh, we appreciate you joining with us this evening. I'll see if I can perhaps pull you into the interview booth a little later this evening. We can touch base, see how you're doing, and catch up after all these years. Going to come up on about 20 minutes left here in this practice session. We're going to let the camera spin for a little while and get ourselves squared away here as we get ready for the qualifying session. Let's zoom out a little bit, maybe see what the Who's Your Tire Blimp has to show us this evening. We'd like to welcome a couple of sponsors this evening. Of course, this second running of the Jefferson Grand Prix for the Vintage Racing League taking place at Summit Point Motorsports Park, Summit Point, West Virginia. We'd like to thank them for having us virtually. Also joining us, the Summit Point Pro Shop, and everybody's favorite, who has been to Summit Point, Shea Summit, and the legendary 100-mile-per-hour chili. Riding along here with Josh Van Kirk, again visiting us from the West Coast. Seems he only needed a couple of laps around this course to start to figure it out. He's much cleaner and very tidy around what can be a very difficult lower section to this Summit Point track. We are, of course, running the big track, the old crossover road there on your right. Turn 1 down here, which back when we could spectate was some pretty excellent watching. Over on the left is the skid pad. If you attend the VRG driver school at Summit Point, you get to spend some time over there, learn how to control a car in the rain. Let's see if we can jump in with Ralph here and watch as Josh runs up on his rear. Oh, Josh got a little squirrely there coming down the kink, down the chute. That's not unusual at Summit Point, getting a little squirrely as you come down there. The car gets real unsettled, and you kind of got to throw away that left-hander here into the carousel. Always nice to get a close-up view here of Ralph's car if we can. Very nice Castro livery on this. Let's see if we can get the chase view, and there we go. There's the money shot right there for the sponsors. Castro, Liqui Moly sponsorship, BP Gas. I'll get Ralph Padgington's address so everybody can mail the checks to his attention out here this evening in his Mercedes-Benz. Just under 15 minutes left here in this practice session, and then we're going to jump over to qualifying. Jumping up front here with Darren Treacle. Had a quite thrilling race last evening with AER at Watkins Glen. Watched him nose to tail in his, I believe he's in a Porsche Cayman last evening. Chasing down an Audi. Heck of a race he had there with AER at Watkins Glen last night. John Wood competing also this evening with the Vintage Racer Group Virtual Racing League. Last night's win taken by one of the Ferragonio brothers, local here to Pittsburgh, also regular competitors with the AER. Alan Ferragonio taking his first spin in a vintage race car last year at the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix Shenley Park event. Maybe we can convince him to come play with us here at the VRG Virtual Racing League. Darren's times are looking pretty good. Perhaps a touch off from prior, so everybody else must have gotten a touch quicker. Excellent Red Bull livery on this car this evening. Just missed that moving chicane there. I believe he's running down Ian Ditson here. Let's see if we can get an idea as to what the delta is. Whoop, lost Darren there. Now's a great time as any to head to the kitchen, warm yourself up a bowl of that Shea Summit 100-mile-per-hour chili. It's good stuff. I hear it adds 10 horses and takes 5 seconds off your lap times. 5 minutes remaining here before we get into our qualifying session. Following around with last week's winner, Darren Treacle, in the BMW Z4 GT3. Joining us this evening here in the commentator booth is Father Jim Wisman, elder dog Genevieve, and puppy Arthur, all broadcasting here with us this evening. We've got a nice drag race down the front straight here. Darren going just a bit deeper there than John Wood. John Wood thought he might take him on the outside, but Darren makes it stick. Whoa, got a little squirrely coming there out of one. John Wood had it. I bet you Darren's going to want that one back when it comes back for qualifying. Jump back here with number 909, Niall McCabe. Looks like he's got a bit of damage there in the right rear. Not entirely sure what happened there. Niall out this evening in the McLaren. A familiar shade of green to the 909 we know and love at our vintage race events. Niall seems to be sandbagging it here during this practice session. We'll see what he comes out with in qualifying. Probably just trying to throw the field off. Wrapping up our practice session here. We're going to cut over to qualifying here in just a short little while. I'd like to thank you all for joining us out there on YouTube, watching our stream this evening. My name is Ian Wisman with the VRG. I do most things IT. I race a 1961 Austin Mini in the real world, silver and black. His name is Duckworth. Joining me in the commentating booth this evening is my father, Jim. He races a 1976 BMW 2002. Black and white. He's also part of the Dipasport endurance racing team, running a 1989 BMW 325i. Himself, John Wood, who we see here pestering Darren, is also a member of that team, as well as Kevin Michael, the three of them, and Chief Mechanic Scott Buriak were down at VIR earlier this year and actually got some real racing in on the south course at VIR with AER in a 12-hour race. Well, that's the end of our practice session. We're going to be cutting over here to qualifying in just a short little while. We appreciate you joining us here. Take a look down on pit lane as everybody gets ready to head out here. Put in their qualifying times. Got a few new graphics this evening we're going to try. We'll see how these work out. If they take up entirely too much real estate or aren't terribly informative, we'll take those down. So a 30-minute qualifying session here. I think Ian Ditson's got a real shot this weekend of putting it on the podium again. We'll see if he can give Darren a run for his money. Bit crowded out there as everybody rolls out into this qualifying session. Looks like Darren's got the fast lap at this time. We've got Spencer Patterson, Pittsburgh resident and familiar face at the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix from the Patterson compound, putting in some quick times as well. And Stefan Vappa, quick as always, third fastest thus far in our qualifying session. Let's jump back here and take a lap with Stefan for a little while and see how he's doing. Sorry about that one, Stefan. We'll come back to you here in a little bit. Jumping behind Ian Ditson here. Second place. Nice show livery here on this BMW. Quick there into the carousel and onto the power. Nice and tidy there, Ian. If he can avoid the traffic, he might be able to shave a bit more off of that. Oh. Jumping a little further down the field here, I see we have Michael Buttrick out here. Rookie plate there on this Mercedes-Benz. That might be a bit of deception. Maybe not. Well, probably cold tires there, but we'll have to come back here to Michael once he gets back on track and squared away. We'll jump in with VRG President Michael Lawton here. Let's see how he's doing this evening. Michael on track with us tonight in the McLaren. I believe this bears a similar livery to one of the Alphas he likes to bring to the track and run with us. Good to see Mike Lawton out there this evening. Wish him well in the race this evening. On with Clark Orstrom now. Everybody's got some fancy liveries this evening. I like it. We are running the trading paints application here, so when you design a custom paint, it'll render here in iRacing for us. So I've taken a crack at the UFO Jeans BMW livery. That's proving to be extremely difficult, but I'll keep working at it. Obviously here in the virtual racing world, things are a whole lot easier to fix and repair, and you're generally back out on track a whole lot quicker than you would be if you were in a real car. But it's certainly a different experience to be in a virtual race car as opposed to the vintage machinery we know and love, as evidenced here by the virtual cockpit. LEDs, digital displays, semi-automatic shifting, paddle shifters. Totally different experience, but in the real world, people that are driving these having to get used to an entirely different racecraft. Jump into here with Stefan Battle for a little bit. Definitely avoiding a little moving chicane there. Stefan, as I understand it, races from a desk with a wheeled office chair and manages to put down some very fast, very consistent lap time. So you too can do this at home. It's pretty easy. You need a computer, steering wheel and pedals, and a little persistence as you get used to this different way of racing. But it's what we got right now, and it can be just as fun as the real thing. Plus, it's a whole lot cheaper than having to tow down, get the hotel, put new race tires on. About 10 minutes passed here in this qualifying session. Darren Treacle still out on top there. Ian Ditson second place there. A little less than a half a second behind. Spencer Patterson, pretty quick this evening, got some pace. Stefan Vappa and Jim Karamanis rounding out the top 5 there. On board here following Josh Van Kirk, visiting us from the West Coast. He'll have a race later this evening, I do believe, with his Lucky Dogs racing. So it's a long evening for Josh. When he saw what time ours was scheduled for, it became apparent he was in for effectively an endurance race. Let's see if we can get up on Josh's car here. There we go. I see Josh has the Lucky Dog livery there on his Ferrari. Nice work there on the custom livery. Seems to be getting a bit quicker here as he learns this track. Had quite the incident up there. Nice and tidy there, Josh. Nice lap. Good luck this evening. Again, we'd like to thank Summit Point Motorsports Park for having us virtually this evening. Online or in the real world, the Summit Point Pro Shop also there to serve your racing needs. Located on track, and of course Shea Summit serving up that super tasty 100-mile-per-hour chili. coming up on 10 minutes left here in the qualifying session. We have Darren Treacle on top with a minute 7, almost a minute 8 around this course. Spencer Patterson pretty quick this evening. Ian Ditson looks like he had a bit of a time there with 1, a little difficult. Stefan Vappa behind Ian. Robert Corson there, rounding out the top 5. Got Darren here is headed into the pits. Maybe for a quick splash and dash. Whoa! Boy, this exciting camera really is exciting. Must be a little slick out there. Whoa! This is exciting, unfortunately. Apologies. Just to reiterate, sim racing is not like the real world racing, and everybody's still learning out there, so we're all rookies for a little while. Follow John Wood here, running Ralph Pagington down the front straight. I think we're going to take a quick interview here. See if I can pull a friend of ours here into the chat room. Hey Josh, this is Ian in Pittsburgh. You reading me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Josh, it's great to hear your voice. Sitting here with me in my commentating booth at my house here in Pittsburgh is my father, Jim. You probably remember him from the days back in the ska band.
Oh, absolutely.
Unfortunately, he's not mic'd up, doesn't have the cans on, so he can't hear you, but he's certainly waving, and he didn't know you were going to be in the race this evening, so it was a real treat for him to see you out on track there. Certainly, we appreciate you joining us here all the way from the West Coast. What about you doing, and where are you living these days?
I'm actually living, after I got out of the Navy, I stayed here in Bremerton, and now work in the shipyard, and hobbies, I just got into endurance road racing with Lucky.
Excellent. Now, your time in the Navy, were you on a boat, submarine? What were you doing there?
It was all submarines. It was SSBN, SSGN. So.
Excellent. Well, we certainly thank you for your service. Glad to have you back here stateside and on dry land. I'm sure you would agree.
Oh, absolutely. It's always a nice part.
So working out on a shipyard there, and then in the evening you're doing the sim racing right now. But why don't you tell us a bit about your Lucky Dog racing?
I'm sorry, you broke up for a second there.
Sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear me now. Why don't you tell us a bit about Lucky Dog Racing?
Lucky Dog Racing League, they're an amateur endurance racing league.
Breaking up there a little bit, Josh.
They're an amateur endurance racing league that's geared kind of like Lemon, the Champ car. Use older cars, have to be at least 15 years old. It's very budget friendly in comparison to a lot of the other racing out.
It sounds it's like something that we've been getting into lately out here. Actually, Dad and a couple of his buddies went down to VIR and did a 12-hour with Champ Car themselves. Pretty successful at it. You enjoy the endurance stuff? Pretty cheap and lots of seat time?
I wouldn't say that it's pretty cheap. It definitely hurts the pocket every now and again, but it is always a lot of fun. Kathy McCaws runs an amazing series. She takes really good care of everybody there, and it really shows when she actually helps fund 3 veteran teams almost fully to be able to put veterans in race cars on track.
Well, that's excellent. We like to hear that, definitely. Certainly appreciate your service, and it's great that you can come back and have some fun and have somebody watching out for you while you're doing it. Try and pull up the interview tab here on the button, see if it'll show who I'm talking to. It may not. Anyways, well, Josh, I appreciate you joining us this evening. I know there's just a little bit of time left here in quali, so we'll let you get back out there. Maybe we'll grab you after the race and touch base, but I do understand you've got I think a lucky dog this evening online.
Yeah, I'm running a Audi RS3 TCR car at Okayama later on tonight.
Well, that sounds like a blast. Well, thanks for coming out and running with us, and good luck this evening, and we'll try and catch you again tonight. If not, we'll catch you next week at the next event if you can run with us here at the Vintage Racer Group.
I appreciate it. It sounds like a plan.
All right, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Again, that's Josh Van Kirk joining us from the West Coast. Thanks for joining us this evening, Josh, and have fun out there.
All right, thanks for having me.
Yeah, buddy. Going to be wrapping up qualifying here in just a little bit. Looks like our grid, unless something interesting happens here. We've got Darren Treacle on top, Spencer Patterson there in P2, Ian Ditson P3, Stefan Vappa in 4th, and Jim Karamanis in 5th place. The grid seems to be settling here. Got a few people heading into the pits and heading out of the pits. Jump back over here to Josh Van Kirk, who we just talked with. So he goes out to set another quality time here. Again, that's Josh Van Kirk running with Lucky Dog Racing. Served for the country here with the Navy on a submarine, and now he's back on dry land and in a race car as much as he can, and racing with us in the sim. So happy to have him with us. Coming up on the end of the qualifying session here. Got a new crawler at the top. Takes up a bit of real estate. Might try to have to shrink that one down. And that does it for our qualifying session. We'll be coming up here shortly on the race event, the main event, here at the Jefferson Grand Prix at Summit Point Motorsports Park in Summit Point, West Virginia. Sponsored this evening by Shea Summit and their 100-mile-per-hour chili. You've still got some time. Run to the kitchen, grab yourself a bowl and a cold one, and head on back here and catch the main event. 30-minute race from 9:30 to 10 p.m. Seems we've got somebody mowing some grass down there in the carousel. That's okay. Jumping back into the pits. Got everybody sitting on the grid here. Let's see. .30-minute race session coming up. Jefferson Grand Prix, the second of the VRG Vintage Virtual Racing League. Wish it was vintage. New cars. Sorry, the VRG Virtual Racing League this evening. Looks like we've got 20 competitors this evening, which is good. I think we had 15 or so last week, and so it's growing. It's always good to see some new people joining. Probably waiting for that equipment to show up so they can get in the race as well. We'll run through our grid here and see how everybody qualified. Darren Treacle there, starting P1, taking he flagged a flag last week at the inaugural race, the Bunny Scramble at VIR. Second place, Spencer Patterson out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Third place, Ian Ditson, also out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've got Stefan Vappa in fourth, Jim Karamanis in fifth place, Robert Korzen in sixth, Clark Orstrom in seventh, Robert Hines in eighth, John Wood starting in ninth, Robert Lang in 10th, Ralph Padgington in the Castrol Liqui Mercedes-Benz in 11th, Josh Van Kirk starting P12 for us this evening, all the way from the left coast with Lucky Dog Racing. Getting ready to roll off here. We'll follow along with our top three. Continuing on with the grid, Ken Fitzgerald in 13th, Christian Bergen in 14th, Matthew Barber in 15th, Ralph Solomon in 16th in the Ferrari. We've got Michael Buttrick starting 17th. I understand this is his first race with us. He's a rookie this evening. Best of luck to you, Michael. Glad to have you with us and enjoy racing virtually. Hope to see you out on the real track here soon. Scott Nettleship in 18th. Working our way down, we've got Niall McCabe back in 19th. And rounding us out here is VRG President Mike Lawton. Everybody watch. I think Michael's going for the Hard Charger Award this evening. So looking forward to a great race this evening. Good luck, everybody, and have fun out there. This is Ian Wisman with the VRG and the Virtual Racing League here at Summit Point Motorsports Park for the Jefferson Grand Prix. We got 30 minutes of virtual racing coming at you this evening. We hope you enjoy it. Rolling off here for our installation lap. riding along here with Michael Buttrick in the cockpit as he comes around on a pace lap here. These can be tricky in the virtual world. The brakes are a bit touchy on these sim rigs, and obviously these cars have some handling characteristics that most of us will never see in the real world because we'll never be able to afford a $500,000 supercar. Kudos to everybody getting out there and giving it a shot this evening. Jump up with John Wood on his pace lap. Nice and tidy through here. Group's nicely bunched up. And with Stefan Vappa. His paint scheme matches the Saab Quantum that he's known for driving around Shenley Park faster than anybody else is brave enough to attempt. 2 wins at Shenley Park, I do believe, and countless second places. As Stefan said, who really counts second place anyways? Up front here with your lead qualifier for this evening's race, Darren Treacle. We'll see how he goes this evening. Coming up the hill here, we'll be going underneath the bridge as we get ready for the start here at the Jefferson Grand Prix at Summit Point Motorsports Park with the VRG Virtual Racing League. Best of luck to our competitors, and let's hope for a clean race. Pace car is off, and we're getting ready for a green flag here, coming around turn 10. Field is nicely bunched together. Much better start than our VRR race last week. Let's see if we get the green flag. Nice and tidy. I can't see him waving this one off. That's a green, 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 and we're racing. Darren Treacle off into the lead there. Ian Ditson giving Spencer Patterson a run for his money down the long front straight here. Let's see who's got it in him to go a little bit deeper than the next guy. We've got a little bit of action there in the back, but it looks to be mostly clean. Maybe a little bit of off track back there, but I think generally we're doing pretty good. Let's head back further down the pack and see how we're doing. We have a bit of an off back there, but everybody else seems to be through pretty cleanly. Oh, we've got a couple getting agricultural there, but they'll get back into it after jumping back to the pits. Up to Ian and Darren through the chute, down into the carousel. Clean through 1 through 6 position. Nice entry there into the carousel. Clean exiting there. Darren, Ian, Jim Karamanis, Stefan Vappa. Looks like Stefan might have gotten a little squirrely coming up the hill there. Bring up the timing tower here on this first lap by and see how everybody slots in. We have Darren Treacle in the lead here. Ian Ditson, though, giving him a heck of a run down the front straight into turn 1. Trying to go around the outside. Let's see if Darren can maintain that inside position. He sticks it. Can Ian come back around? He's giving him one heck of a chase. Let's jump in the car there with Ian and see how it looks from his point of view. Whoa, a little wide there, Ian. Gave up a little bit of room. Down through the chute. Nice and tidy into there, but Darren's sticking to it. Let's take a view from the leader's car. Out the backside looking at Ian around turn 10. Out over the rumbles. Looks like we're pretty evenly matched here in 1 and 2. Darren's able to get out just a bit quicker out of that first hard right-hander there in turn 1. We're going to jump down the pack a little bit, see how Spencer Patterson's doing here. Currently running in 4th place. Being chased by Robert Lang. Robert looking to go on the inside. Spencer sticks with it, but Robert's giving him a heck of a chase through there. Looks like we lost Spencer, though, might have had a drop in connection there. Jumping back to Josh Van Kirk in his first race here with the VRG Virtual Racing League. Working around the outside of the carousel. Hard on the gas up the hill here. I believe Josh qualified back in 12th place, worked all the way up to 8th thus far. Let's hope he can stick with it and continue to improve. A little further down the pack here to Michael. Looks like he turned in just a bit too early there on 10. Bit of an early apex, that's okay. Down into 1, gets himself set up nice and tidy. That can be a daunting turn as you're just getting used to it, but that patch of concrete's there, and it's actually a pretty good reference point for finding a line through there. Up to Ralph Padgington here. Castrol Liquid Moly sponsorship. Seems to be running a bit free and clear at the time. Apologies there, some stutters in the stream. There were some updates tonight before we get logged into iRacing, so uncertain if it's the updates or my streaming rig is getting tired. Just over 5 minutes into this race this evening. Darren Treacle here in the lead. Ian Ditson second place. Spencer Patterson in third. Darren's been purple his last couple times through, so he's got this course figured out, and that car is dialed in. Following along here with John Wood. We're going to jump around here a few times and see if we can't find an interesting race. Seems that we've got everybody pretty well spread out this evening. Nice clean pass there by John down the front straight to get set up to turn in. Oh, looks like we got a little hard on the binders there. That might have been Michael Lawton back there. Probably cold tires. I understand last week Mr. Lawton was fresh off the airplane from England after doing a bit of testing for McLaren F1 in the off-season. So he was understandably jet-lagged. Perhaps he was at Maranello this past week testing for Ferrari. Riding along here with Robert Lang as he follows Jim Karamanis up the hill and into turn 10. Nice and clean. The long run down the front straight. Back up front with our leader, Darren. Looks like he's got a 3-second lead on second place Ian Ditson, and then a pretty big gap back to Spencer Patterson and Jim Karamanis. It's a little closer as we get back here to Robert Lang, so let's jump in with Robert and see what he's doing. Josh Van Kirk there in 7th, slowly working his way up. So sharp livery there on that Lucky Dog Ferrari. Jump back up to Ralph Padgington. He seems to be giving chase to Robert Lang. Neck and neck here as they get into the carousel. Bit of traffic ahead. We'll see how this works out for these two. Robert's overtaking Niall McCabe, who's running in the back there. There's a nice point by there for Niall. So we run down into 1. Looks like Ralph might try and take a peek. Whoa, got a little hairy there into 1. Oh, Ralph, well, looks like we got either something down there or Ralph is maybe trying out his drifting skills. But he kept it together, back on track. Nice shot under the bridge there coming through turn 10. Record crowd outside of turn 10 today. I don't blame them. It's a beautiful day. Up front with race leader Darren. Lots of clean open air. Lovely overhead shot here of Summit Point. Looks like they're camping over there on the skid pad. I understand the track has been up to some pretty interesting work down there. Made some pretty nice facility improvements. Put down quite a bit more asphalt. Really excited to get back there in August when we run our rescheduled Jefferson 500. Of course, tonight's Jefferson Grand Prix, an homage to the typically scheduled in May Jefferson 500 with the VRG. Our virtual racing league, somewhat mimicking the real-world events that we're unfortunately unable to attend at this time. But it's still proving to be a lot of fun and exciting, and I know our drivers are enjoying it. We're not on the radio net, but I understand there's a lot of back and forth chatter. Gentlemanly, of course. Lots of good ribbing going on out there on track. Let's jump back to second place Ian Ditson and see how he's doing. Coming up here on some lap traffic, I believe that's Christian Bergen out there in the BMW Z4 GT3. We've got a drag race down the front straight into one. Ian's going to have to find a lot of time, though, if he wants to catch up to Darren. Apologies, folks. A little bit of trouble there with the timing tower. There we go. That's a little bit better. "20 minutes past in our 30-minute Jefferson Grand Prix at Summit Point Motorsports Park. About 10 minutes remaining here. Currently following along second place Ian Ditson. Spencer Patterson out here this evening. I believe he's the lone Audi. Oh, there's one other Audi out there this evening. little bit of trade and paint there in the carousel. Just that's a bit of rubbing his racing, trying to pick up a bump draft there. Ralph's drag racing Nile here under the bridge as they head into 10. Let's see if Ralph can stretch up. I think Ralph's trying to encourage Nile to move on down the road just a little bit quicker. Let's see which of these three brave souls make it through one. Oh, Nile, that's unfortunate. That that went a little bit poorly. But Ralph made it through. Jump back here to young Michael Buttrick, see how he's doing out there this evening in his first race with the VRG Virtual Racing League. Nice and tidy there through one. Past the bathtub. Down through the chute into the carousel. Nice and clean. Nice looking car there. Up the hill, under the bridge. Through turn 10 onto the front straight. There we go. Nice lap, Michael. Seeing Ditson there coming through in second place, working through some lap traffic. Let's get a nice front-on shot of this Mercedes-Benz. Very nice livery on this car. Got about 5 minutes left in this 30-minute race session here at the Jefferson Grand Prix at Summit Point Motorsports Park. Again, my name is Ian Wisman with the VRG, providing the commentary this evening. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. And we're going to jump back up here to leader Darren and see how he's doing. Looks like he's got plenty of clean air. I'm not going to say too much just yet. We've still got a long way to go in this race, another 4 minutes. But it may be the case that Darren's got this one in hand. Again, flag to flag like he did last week at the VIR Bunny Scramble. Jump in the cockpit here real quick. And the view that we see here is very similar to the view that the drivers who are racing see themselves. You'll notice in the upper right-hand corner there's a rear view mirror. And that's about all that the drivers see themselves. So sometimes it's a little difficult to have that spatial awareness that we typically have in the race cars, though a lot of these guys may have triple monitor setups that allow them to see pretty far left, right, and rearward. We'll have to do a survey of the group and see if anybody's racing with VR headset on, which is pretty incredible. the car now with Stefan Bappa. I believe that's Niall McCabe ahead. Ralph Padgington. Stefan going inside, sticking that one. Looks like he managed to keep Ralph at bay. Excellent work there by Stefan. Ralph actually might have had a shunt there, as he seems to have dropped off. Into the final minute of the race this evening. This may be the working last lap. Looks like Darren's going to take this one. Looks like Christian took an interesting line there. Through, I believe that was 4. We're going to jump back up to our race leader. Oh, he's right behind us, working here through the carousel. We'll try and touch base here with Darren after the race. This seemed to be a pretty tidy effort on his part. Around here, turn 10. This should be the end of the race for everybody. Let's see if the checker flag comes out. And there it is. Congratulations to our race winner, Darren Treacle, picking up his second win here in the VRG Virtual Racing League. Ian Ditson coming around here in a little bit to take his checker flag. The young man finishing P2, I do believe, back-to-back as well. Very nice drive there by Ian. Good effort the entire evening. Third place, Jim Karamanis, still back here in the carousel, working his way around, see if he can put that on the podium there. Just a little bit further, and Jim may have that sweet taste of virtual champagne. Here comes Jim around turn 10. Take his checkered flag. Congratulations there, Jim Karamanis finishing P3. Let's bring up this finishing grid and see how we all did this evening. And here's your finishers for the Jefferson Grand Prix at Summit Point Motorsports Park. Darren Treacle taking it flag to flag again. Ian Ditson second place. Jim Karamanis P3. Stefan Vappa bringing in fourth place finish there. And Ralph Padgington rounding out the top 5. Josh Van Kirk visiting us from the West Coast. Almost breaks into the top 5 there. First time out on this track. Congratulations to him. That was an excellent drive and effort. I imagine this is probably one of the first times he's ever driven Summit Point. Congratulations to all of our competitors this evening. Hopefully they had a fun race. Got a little dicey. Stretched the legs a bit. And we'll see who we can bring in here for perhaps a post-race interview. We'd like to thank you for joining us. Again, this is Ian Wisbon with the VRG and the Virtual Racing League. Sitting here in the commentary booth without headset or microphone is my father, Jim. he's watching along and getting a taste of this. We should hopefully have him in a sim rig here in the near future. Let's see if we can't touch base here either with our first place finisher, second place finisher, or third place finisher. And then next week, I do believe we're headed to New Jersey Motorsports Park. Let's check the schedule here. Yep, that's next Tuesday starting at 8 p.m. It's the VRG Virtual Racing League Airfield Classic in New Jersey Motorsports Park. We'll see if Darren can make this a three-peat, or if perhaps Ian Ditson or Jim Karamanis can perhaps pip him, and steal the podium place. I think we're going to cut to second place finisher Ian Ditson here. Hey Ian, this is the other Ian in the broadcast booth. You copy me?
Yeah, I got you.
You're breaking up there a little bit, Ian, unless you have a voice scrambler on it to distract your competitors.
Yeah, I got you now. Let me get out of the sim real quick and then I'll talk to you.
Alrighty. We'll have Ian Ditson there join us in just a little bit in the Discord chat room for a post-race interview. Some audio issues there, so if those persist, we may have to cut to one of our other drivers. Let's see. I think we're going to get P2 and P3 in here. Just a moment.
Check.
Hey, Ian. This is the other Ian. We've also got Jim Karamanis in the room. Do you guys copy?
Yeah, I'm here. Does it sound better now?
Yeah, I'm here too.
Sounds much better, Ian. Thank you. Hey, Jim. Hey, Ian. Hey, great race this evening. Ian, we'll start with you. P2 for you. How was your drive this evening?
It was good. I mean, I had a moment of frustration on lap 14 where there was a car in the middle of the track going down to the carousel, but other than that, pretty decent race.
Yeah, it looked pretty clean. Unfortunately, it seemed as if Darren was able to get some space on there. Probably that car on lap 14 that distanced you. But all in all, it looked like a solid effort from you again this week. You think you can get Darren next week at New Jersey?
Hopefully. I'm hoping to put a decent amount of time in on this one. So, and New Jersey is a tough track with these cars because that what is that, turn 3 or 4 you're going into it? You almost jump the car going into it.
Well, best of luck to you, and we've got Jim Karamanis, who was not too terribly far behind you in tonight's race. Jim, how'd it look checking out Ian Ditson's rear for the end of that race there?
Oh, he was too far ahead. I never really. I think I saw his rear for the first 3 laps, and we were coming through on back markers already, and the back marker pulled right in front of me. So I didn't see much of Ian after that, and I spent the rest of my race driving with my fender about the same height as my windscreen. So it was an interesting race, but somehow the car made it through.
Yeah, we stopped in and were watching through your cockpit and saw the hood was a little banged up there. We didn't manage to catch the incident, but it looked like overall you had a pretty good race. How'd it feel? A good race?
Yeah, it was a great race. We had a really clean start. I got lucky. Everyone held their line going into turn 1. I picked up 2 spots on the first lap, and I was in P3 for quite a while. And then I was overtaken after my incident with a back marker. But fortunately, I think some of my counterparts had some incidents that I never saw, because I ended up passing a couple cars towards the end of the race while they were in the pits, so I'll take it.
Well, there you go. Speaking of the pits, Ian, did you make a pit stop there during this race? Did I see you in there for a moment?
Yeah, I did. I didn't get a penalty this time, so that's the real key in that. Don't speed in the pit lane.
Yeah, that's for
Small
sure.
suggestion. Jim, I saw your move on going into turn 1 at the start. You looked great. You followed me right on through.
Yeah, everyone did a really good job of holding their line. Everyone was very patient this week. It really shows the maturity of all the drivers in the series. Very exciting.
Excellent. If you pardon me here in the control booth, I'm going to try and bring one more person here into the post-race interviews. Just bear with me for a second.
Yeah, sounds
All right.
good. And Ian, congratulations! Another really great race. I think you're getting closer and closer to Darren every lap. It's exciting to watch.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. You look good out there too. It's a shame that you got stuck with the back markers though.
Well, honestly, I didn't have the pure pace to keep up with you guys, so P3 was about the best I ever could have hoped for in this race. But I'm going to try to put a
Yeah.
little bit more time into the sim. I think it's all about the time you put into it, and unfortunately, my day job that actually pays the bills has been very busy lately.
Yeah, I don't. I have online school, so that's a load of fun. But I finish that in an hour, so we get on and we practice all the time.
Well, speaking of daytime commitments, I just invited a good friend of mine from my younger days. Josh Van Kirk here is in the room, and I think he's got to get running here soon. He's visiting us from the West Coast, runs with Lucky Dog Racing out there, endurance, low-cost endurance series similar to the Champ car that we have on the East Coast. Josh, are you reading me?
Yeah, I got you.
Excellent to hear you, Josh. Hey, Josh, you're in the room with Ian Ditson finishing second place in this evening race, as well as Jim Karamanis P3. You qualified 12th, Josh, worked your way all the way up to 6th. How'd you find the track? Had you ever driven Summit Point before?
I've actually driven, not in real life, but I've actually driven quite a few laps on the sim, just never in a GT3 car. I was not ready for how fast these cars are on such a narrow.
Well, I think you did an excellent job watching you here from the broadcast booth, and we definitely appreciate you joining and racing with us this evening, and we hope you can come back out and join us again with the Virtual Racing League.
Absolutely. If you guys would have me, I'll come out anytime. This was a lot of fun.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. We'll see you at the next one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks.
Sure thing, Josh, and good luck in your race tonight with Lucky Dog. Have fun out there, and tell everybody the East Coast says hello, and thank you for your service, sir.
Absolutely, will do. And if you guys get bored, Pit Stop TV is actually going to be streaming and commentating the race.
Excellent. Well, I'm finishing up my second job here, so I think I'll probably have a cold one and check you out there. So thanks again, Josh, for joining us, and good luck tonight.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks, Josh.
So yeah, thanks for racing with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Alrighty. Ian, Jim, any closing thoughts?
Jim, you got any? Well, I think.
Well, for me, I'm just happy to finish on the lead lap. I'm going to call that progress.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can do the same next week. I don't have any laps in New Jersey on the virtual track. I've got a few laps on the real track.
It's a little frustrating on the virtual.
Well, and it should be interesting in iRacing because the track is complete, but none of the buildings around the track are complete. So it will be real interesting to see how that comes out on the live stream.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Well,
it's a fast track with these cars. I can tell you that right now.
I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I think it's great practice, obviously, for the real world. I think Ian, you spend quite a bit of time in the sim practicing your skills when you're not out on the real track. And hey, with this interview here, you can also practice for when you make it to the big leagues and you're on ESPN.
We get there. Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, hopefully for next week we're a little closer with Darren, obviously, which that seems to be a struggle. He does have a better setup than me sim-wise, though, so that may be getting changed soon. I might go to a Fanatic setup or Fanatec setup with a load cell pedal to get better braking.
Well, that's a good point. I just converted to a Fanatic pedal set myself, and it sure helped with feel. Let me say just one more thing, if I may. Ian Ditson was a student of mine at the VRG school a few years ago, and it really pleases me to see him doing so well. Oh, was that last year?
Yeah, that was last year.
Well, when you get old like me, it all sort of clashes
Blurs
together.
together.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you're
I
doing
gotcha.
a great job. Very very
Thank
proud
you.
seeing you out there.
Thank you.
Well, that's
Good
great to
racing.
hear. Yeah, great to hear that the virtual racing league can, keep this going. Everybody can polish their skills and get some time together out on track in this time while we're still trying to find a race to go to. Trying to bring our race winner into the room this evening, Darren Treacle, but I'm not sure if I've got him. So
I don't think we're gonna get much luck with that tonight, but he didn't seem to know what to do with Discord. But we'll get
well,
him for the next one for sure.
yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not his last win. I can say that right now.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. Well, Ian, Jim, I'd like to thank you both for joining us here in the broadcast booth. I think you both had outstanding drives, and looking forward certainly to next Tuesday night at New Jersey Motorsports Park.
All right.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
And thanks for all you do. I look forward to hearing the replay.
Certainly. You gentlemen, you have a good evening, and we're going to sign off here shortly in the broadcast booth. But thanks for joining us and giving us a couple of minutes of your time.
All right. Have a good one. I'm out.
Our pleasure. Bye.
Good evening. All right, and I think that's about going to wrap it up for us here in the VRG Virtual Racing League broadcast booth. We hope you'll join us next week. Tuesday night, starting at 8 p.m., we'll be at New Jersey Motorsports Park. We'll see if Darren Treacle can take this 3 in a row, or perhaps Ian Ditson can pip him, or maybe we'll have another challenger come from behind. So thanks for joining us here this evening. My name is Ian Wisbon with the VRG. Joining me here is my father, Jim. I'd like to thank my lovely wife, Betsy, for entertaining us this evening, as well as our color commentary, Fur Kids, Genevieve, Arthur, and here's our cat, Kitty. So this is Ian Wisbon for the VRG Virtual Racing League signing off. Looking forward to racing with you next week at New Jersey Motorsports Park starting at 8 p.m. Good night, everybody.